Γεια σας! Στο πρώτο επεισόδιο του The Nailmasters Podcast έχω την τιμή να φιλοξενώ έναν από τους πιο αναγνωρισμένους ειδικούς στον χώρο της χημείας και των προϊόντων ονυχοπλαστικής, τον Doug Schoon. Είμαι ενθουσιασμένη που θα συζητήσουμε μαζί του και θα ρίξουμε φως σε σημαντικά θέματα που αφορούν την ασφάλεια και την αλήθεια πίσω από τα προϊόντα που χρησιμοποιούμε καθημερινά. Μακάρι να τον είχαμε πραγματικά εδώ κοντά μας. Δυστυχώς όμως λόγω απόστασης αυτό δεν γίνεται. Θα είναι η όλη συνέντευξη online, οπότε ζητώ συγγνώμη για την εικόνα. Κάναμε ό,τι καλύτερο μπορούσαμε. Πάμε να τον καλωσορίσουμε. Mr. Doug, welcome to the Nailmasters Podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Could you tell us a few things about yourself for those who might not know you, although I'm not sure there are many?
I've been in the nail industry for about 35 years now. I have a master's degree in chemistry. And how I got in the industry was I created a video training program that taught beauty professionals how to work safely with their chemicals. And after I did that, Creative Nail Design, which is now called C&D, contacted me and said, hey, we need someone to run our laboratories for us. So I ran their laboratories for 20 years, and then I left them and started my own research and development company, Schoon Scientific. And that's what I've been doing for my last 15 years, educating in nails, doing research in nails and nail products, and hair as well. Anything made out of keratin, I love it. So I work on lashes, hair, nails. I guess I'm a keratin scientist is what you would call me. So that's really how I got in the industry and why I stay in the industry, because I just love working with these materials, and I love working with nail technicians too. I think it's important to educate them and give them the right information, so I spend a lot of time doing this.
We often hear that nail products are not safe. What is one of the most common myths you hear about nail products?
Well, that's untrue. Nail products can be very safe. And the example I often use is, driving a car. Driving a car is not safe. If you drive crazy, you close your eyes driving down the road, you're going to crash. And
Exactly.
Bicycles, you can die on a bicycle, and we give those to children. So it's not that the tool is unsafe, it's how it's used. And nail products can be used safely, but they can be used dangerously like anything else. So what we need to do, we need to learn how to use our products in a way that benefits our client, but doesn't cause us to become allergic or our clients to become allergic, or we damage their nails. It's all about beautifying their nails and making them nicer looking, not making them pretty and harming them at the same time. So safety is as important as how well we apply the products.
So the problem is not about the product, but about the use.
Yeah, it's really true. Like HEMA, everyone knows HEMA.
Is HEMA as dangerous as many people believe?
HEMA is a monomer that's really been criticized and taken out of the products in the nail industry recently. I think it should be. And the reason is not because HEMA is this evil monomer that harms nail technicians and got it in for the nail industry. It's because nail technicians generally tend to get too much product on their skin, and they don't properly cure their products. If you take a HEMA-containing product and you don't properly cure it, and you get it on your skin, it's likely going to be causing allergic reactions. If no one ever did those two things, or everyone always properly cured and didn't get it on their skin, HEMA wouldn't be causing the problems it does. So HEMA is like a red flag. It's saying, uh-oh, the nail industry, you're getting too much product on your skin, you're not curing properly. So it's kind of calling out the industry and saying, you have a problem. Now, HEMA, of course, I agree, should be removed because of the way nail technicians work. But the real solution here is for nail technicians to start properly curing their products and keeping it off their skin. If we do those two things, then nail products are not going to harm us.
We discuss for nail products, not skin products.
Exactly. And a properly labeled product will say avoid skin contact. If you look on your bottle of product and it doesn't say avoid skin contact, it's not properly labeled. Every product should be labeled avoid skin contact. Now, if you make an occasional touch, okay, a little bit here and there, that's not the problem. It's when it's done repeatedly over long periods of time. That's the problem. And once you touch the skin, you can't simply wipe it off. And you can't take a little alcohol and rub it off, because a residual will stay on your skin, and that residual can trigger allergic reactions. So better than to try and clean it off, it's the better to keep it off your skin. Work in a very safe fashion. Don't touch your client's skins, and don't touch your own skin. Don't lay your arm on a table towel where you've wiped your product, because you're laying your arm on your product. and that can start your risk to develop allergic reactions. So avoiding skin contact, that's the most important safety tip I can give you.
Many people are afraid of acrylic and believe it is dangerous, even carcinogenic. Is that true?
No. Every single nail product that cures on your nail and hardens is an acrylic. They all come from the acrylic family. We just call liquid and powders acrylics, but gels are made out of acrylics. Cyanoacrylate dips are made out of acrylics. So they all come from this big family of chemicals called acrylics. And there's dozens of different kinds of acrylics. Some are used for liquid and powder, some are used for gel, some are used for dips, but they all come from the acrylic family. So to say acrylics are dangerous is to say that all nail products are dangerous, and we know that's not true. How this myth started is when UV gels were first introduced, the brand owners of UV gels wanted to get more business. So what did they do? They started attacking liquid and powder, saying, oh, that's dangerous, rah, 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 rah. That's all nonsense. That was just fear-based marketing. They were trying to scare people out of using acrylics and into using gels, saying they're safer. No, it depends on how they work, not how you use them, not what they're made out of. So this fear-based tactic really backfired because it started making people really afraid of nail products. Nail products can be very safe. They don't harm people unless, like I said, you overexpose yourself to them for a long period of time. Just like any other nail product can be used safely. Now, they each have different ways of using them. If you don't properly use the right lamp to properly cure your gels, you can get allergic reactions. Well, if you mix the powders incorrectly, the liquid, use it too wet, or you don't use it correctly and get it on the skin, they can cause allergic reactions too. So it's all about whatever product you choose to use, learn to use it correctly, you learn to use it safely, follow directions, and keep it off the skin. That's one thing nail technicians don't do a lot of, is follow directions. And I understand why, because a lot of manufacturers or brand owners don't give proper directions. That's a huge problem. Any brand owner out there shouldn't be telling people you can use the product any way you want. That's ridiculous. They are required and responsible to tell you how to use it safely to avoid problems. And if they don't give you that safe use information, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Every manufacturer, every brand owner should be giving proper safety instructions, and those instructions should avoid skin contact and tell you how to properly cure your products. And any manufacturer, brand owner that's not doing that is not doing a good service to the nail industry. They're actually contributing to the problem.
So we hear that some companies suggest using a rubber base before applying acrylic. Is that correct?
It's going to depend on the manufacturer. You would assume the brand has tested this. And they've said, this is how we've tested our product. And hopefully that testing was done scientifically. And they said, this is the safe way to use it. If they're telling you that you can do this, we've tested it, and this is safe, well, how can I say it's not without reading those instructions and telling you what I think about them? But if you do use a UV cure base, you should cure it properly before you proceed. If they give you the right instructions, say, we've worked it out, and this is what you do, and do this, and don't do that, do it this way and do it that way, well, they may have worked something out that's very safe. Unless I see those instructions, I can't criticize them. And I tell nail professionals they should follow directions. But a lot of times manufacturers, their brand owners will just make up a technique and they really don't ever really test it. And that can create some problems as well. This is why brand owners, the people selling the products, are really responsible for ensuring your safety. They're responsible for testing these products and making sure everything is safe, what they're telling you and teaching you. There are companies that do that, and there are companies that don't do that. Look for the companies that do that. Look for the companies that give you education and tell you how to work safely. If a company tells you you can cure it any way you want, do anything you want, just give me your money. Get away from those companies. Find the companies that are going to give you education and they're investing in your success. You're investing in their success. They should invest in your success too.
Recently, we hear that dual forms can damage the natural nail. Is that true? Or is about technique again?
Well, if I put a dual form up my nail, it's not going to attack my nail. So I don't think dual forms are attacking and damaging nails. How they're applied, that's a different story. If you put a whole bunch of stuff under the dual form and you squish it down on your finger and it squeezes all out onto your skin, that's repeated contact. Every time you do that, that's contacting the skin. That can lead to allergies. Some people, they file the tip of the free edge all the way down to the hyponychium, and they stick that's not good either. We shouldn't be filing the nails so aggressively and so much. I think dual forms probably could be used safely. Do I think most people are using dual forms safely? No, I do not. I don't think they're properly trained on how to use them. You should always avoid skin contact no matter what product you're using, including dual forms. And the other problem with dual forms is many people load up that form with a thick layer, 3 millimeters thick or 4 millimeters thick, and they apply it down on the nail. Well, that's going to be hard to cure. UV has to pass through the gel to cure all the lower layers. And if that layer is thicker than 1.5 millimeters or 2 millimeters, it's probably not going to cure. Especially if it's a dark colored gel, like a black, a red, or a brown. Those are the hardest gels to cure. Or if you got a lot of glitter in it. So if you put a thick layer of that on, it's probably not going to cure very well. I've been posting on this about Facebook. So those are the two problems with dual forms. They create skin contact, 3 problems. They create skin contact. People tend to overfile the free edge down to the hyponychium to make some of them work. Bad idea. And some people are applying them too thickly and not properly curing them. If those 3 things aren't done, you're probably not going to see any nail damage. Because like I said, the form itself has no ability to damage your nail. Now, the other place where you could see some damage, and this is a big problem in our industry, is when people go to remove the product. They forcibly remove it from the nail. Well, it's like taking a big bar and going up on your roof and prying the shingles off your roof. Your roof is going to start to leak. When we are dangerous with the nail plate and we pull product off, that pulls chunks of the surface of the nail up, and it makes the nail more likely to allow things to penetrate inside. And that can trigger allergic reactions, onycholysis. It can make your nails look white pits on the surface. People see these white pits on the surface and they'll say, look what the product did to my nail. No, the product didn't do that. Forcing the product off is what did that. If you file the nail down thin and then soak off the rest, that's the safest, gentlest technique. But if you see a little tiny bit stuck over on the end, it doesn't come off. That's the part that's the most tightly bonded to your nail. It's really firmly bonded. That's the last piece we want to force off, because it's going to pull a chunk of nail up with it, and you'll get a little white spot. Maybe that spot will be a little small the first time. Next time you put the coating on and you pull it off again, that spot will get bigger and get bigger. And pretty soon you have a big white spot on your nail, and it's not from the product, it's from how the product was removed. Or if your clients remove it like this with their teeth. Well, you know that happens. Warn your clients. Tell them, I'm going to charge you extra if you do that, because I've got a bigger problem now. Because now once the nail becomes pitted or thin or weakened or made too thin by overfiling, it becomes more flexible, and more flexible nails don't hold on to the product as well. So people will overfile the nail plate thinking they're improving adhesion, but you're actually making more trouble for yourself, because the thinner the nail plate gets, the harder it's going to be to adhere to. So by the time it grows out to the free edge, the product will separate from the free edge and you'll get a split and it won't hold on. The nail is too thin. The number one job of a nail technician is to protect your client's skin and nails. It's not okay to thin them down super thin. We want to keep them as thick as possible. We want to beautify the nail, not replace the nail. Artificial nails don't replace the natural nail plate. They beautify it, and we want to keep it healthy and sitting on the top, not thin it down too much, because that just creates problems.
I think the biggest problem is the education, I think.
No question about it. Many people don't get any education, or worse, they get YouTube education. Oh my, there's more misinformation on the internet than there is proper information about nails. It's best to find someone who's knowledgeable and who's going to teach you the right way to do nails. It's hard to unlearn bad habits. And bad habits can haunt you throughout your career and cause a lot of service breakdown and cause infections, cause allergic reactions. So education is the key to success. You know, when a sculptor sculpts on stone, well, they learn all about stone. And when woodworkers work on wood, they learn all about the wood. Well, nail technicians need to do the same. They need to learn all about the natural nail. Learn about the natural. We're not slapping stuff on top of it. We're enhancing it and beautifying it. So knowing more about the nail, knowing what can harm it and how to prevent harm, that's an important part of a nail technician's job. Not just making pretty nails. I said once on Facebook, and people love this, and I repeat it from time to time. Just because you can decorate a cake, it doesn't make you a baker. And just because you can decorate a nail, it doesn't make you a nail technician. Nail technicians have to know more than how to apply the products. They have to know how to safely remove them, and they have to know how to protect the nail plate and the skin and keep them safe. It's a complicated job, and there's more to it than just creating pretty nail art. I love nail art, but that's the icing on the cake. It's not the cake.
Okay, Mr. Doug, let me ask you something. How can a client tell if a nail technician is working properly and safely?
Well, first off, if they're getting a product on your skin, once or twice, that's okay. If they're all the time getting product on your skin and on their skin, that's a red flag. If they're filing your nails all the time, they file to remove, they file to reply, they file to remove, they file to apply. They're always filing, that's a red flag. If they're cutting the living skin, nail technicians shouldn't be cutting living skin. And we call this the cuticle, but it's not. The cuticle is the dead, thin, paper-thin dead tissue on the nail plate. This is our proximal nail fold. This is living tissue. And if we start cutting that, well, we do two things. We can increase the chance of developing an infection because we've broken the skin and now infectious organisms can get in and cause infection. But worse, we've opened the skin up so now product can get inside of it to cause allergic reactions more easily. The outside of our skin is a barrier. It prevents things from getting inside. But once we start cutting that skin, it's like opening the window. Now all the bugs and all the things can come in the room, all the pollution can come in your room. The same thing can happen when we cut the skin. So this notion of cutting the skin and digging underneath the proximal nail fold to clean it all, no, those are all overly aggressive techniques. We should be gentle with our clients' nails, not harm them and not rough them up and treat them like they're just an inanimate object. They're not. They're not alive, but the skin around it sure is, and we can damage the skin and we can damage the nail if we're not careful.
Why do you think there is so much misinformation in the nail industry?
Well, a lot of it comes from brand owners that come in the industry and they don't know what the heck they're doing. They don't even know the industry. They see it as a way of making more money. Hey, there's a lot of money in the nail industry. I'm going to start my own product. So then they hire educators and they tell their educators to go out and say things that make other companies' products look bad and our company's product look good because we want to sell it more. That's where a lot of the myths come from. A lot of them come from well-meaning educators that are trying to educate, but they misunderstand technical terms. So they think it means this and it really doesn't. So I think it's a combination of things. And I don't think I could point my finger at any one thing and say that's where it's all coming from. But I'll tell you, there's only one way to stop it, and that's nail educators. Nail educators are the most important people in the entire industry. They educate the new nail technicians. We want new nail technicians to learn the right way. Our educators have got to know the right information. So that's why I say they're the most important people of all. And that's why I spent 2 years writing a book that I said, never write another book. But I said, no, I'm going to write a book for educators. So educators can go out and do a better job. Because if anyone's going to turn this industry around and fix the problems in our industry, it's the nail educators. So I invite all nail educators to please learn more about your products. Just don't believe the stuff you hear on the internet and TikTok and all these ridiculous places that are useful for many other things, but not for learning about nails. There's too much misinformation. Get out there and learn the real facts and start teaching your students the real facts. You'll be helping them, you'll be helping yourself, and you'll be helping the industry. because there's way too much misinformation out there. And that some of that misinformation can be harmful to nail technicians and clients.
I feel like we could talk for hours.
I could talk for days.
There is so much to discuss.
Well, we'll have to come back and do it again then.
Why not? Of course, why not? There is so much to discuss. But before we close, what is one thing every nail technician should change starting today?
That's a toss-up. Because there's two. One, stop over-filing. Okay. I have never, ever met a nail technician who under-files the natural nail. What? No. Some people do it really right. Some people do it way too much. Nobody does too little. So don't worry about doing too little. You're going to be the only one. Better to not file too much and file as less as possible. We don't want to remove layers. We just want to increase the surface area on the surface. We just want to rough up the surface a tiny, tiny little bit so there's more product area to grab on. Making it thinner doesn't make it stick better. So stop over filing. I don't recommend using anything more than a 180 grit, lower than a 180 grit on a natural nail. Some people get by with 240, but if you're using a 150 or a 100 on the natural nail, you're probably over filing the natural nail. And don't file to remove. File down thin so that you can get off the product without damaging the nail plate by soaking. And I think the other thing I would say is keep product off the skin. That's another thing you want to watch out for, especially for yourself. You want to protect yourself and you want to have a long and healthy career. I bet that's true. So the one way to do that is to avoid skin contact and make sure you keep your area clean around you. And those two tips, I think, would be the things I would recommend you work on the most, if you're not already doing that.
Mr. Doug, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
And for sharing your knowledge with us.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate it. Hope to talk to you again sometime. Bye-bye.